Hello and welcome to the August Sisters in Crime meeting. We're excited you're here. Thank you. A little packed for parking today, but we made it work. There are a couple of empty spaces, so if you see somebody wandering around outside, point me to them and I'll show them where to park. I have a couple of announcements. The short story anthology they've been read. They're with the editor now, and by the end of August, we'll know who the people are in the anthology, and that's exciting for me and for all the other people. Whew, I'm out of breath already, Jesus Christ. You would never know I've done 27 half marathons at the rate I'm breathing today. So.
Did you do it this morning?
I feel like I did, Terry. I probably look sweaty like I did as well. So we started this year with flash fiction, doing a flash fiction story in each episode of Ransom Notes. We are on hiatus until January. In January, or in December, for the Ransom Notes in December, we'll give you the list of words to submit if you want to submit for January short fiction. Jay Lee is going to read from one of our winning flash fiction for August. Yep. Oh, and if you don't know, this is Jay Lee Glassburn. He is our technical guru and now a published author. Here you go, technical guru.
I'm going to go ahead and stand. I just wanted to, I have this small platform here. The kind of inspiration behind this, I was flipping through Netflix or one of those streaming devices one evening, looking for some old movie to watch, and I came across Blue Gardenia. I don't know if you're familiar with this. 1954 film noir. And I start watching it, and I'm like a third of the way through it, and I'm like, didn't this inspire the Black Dahlia? I'm like, oh, no, wait, hang on. That was the Blue Dahlia. So I start looking, I do some time on Wikipedia. It turns out Blue Dahlia, written by Raymond Chandler, and then there was the media hype of the Black Dahlia, and then to capitalize on that, whatever studio it was, made the Blue Gardenia. And so I was like, you know what? I want to write a story called The Blue Crocus, because the crocus was my grandmother's favorite flower. And when the words came out for this month's flash fiction, one of the words was flowers. So I said, okay, this is a sign. So, tough week. So drinks at Lou's Place was a no-brainer. It's actually the Blue Crocus, but regulars call it Lou's Place. Why do people name bars after flowers? I should have my eyes on. As I got there, Lou was locking up. Odd hour. "Lou, it's Nick," I called out as I knocked. He cracked the door just enough for one crazed eye to peer out. He let out a breath and opened it. "I'm so glad it's you. I need help." "Sup, Lou, you look a little green." "You ever hear of a shovel buddy?" he asked. "No." "He's the kind of buddy you call at 2 a.m. Say, 'Bring a shovel,' and he shows up with a shovel. No questions asked. That's how I feel about you. I'd be your shovel buddy. Are you my shovel buddy?" "We're talking metaphorically, Lou?" He turned and led me to the cooler. He opened the door and gestured. In the corner, a body, turning blue. "What'd you do, Lou?" "He was banging my wife." "So you killed him?" "Accidentally. We used to spar. He could always take a punch, but then I guess that was then. I slugged him, and he went down and busted his head. If I go to the cops, they'll pin this on me, especially when they find out he was screwing Claudette. What are we going to do?" I had no idea what we were going to do. But I knew I was going to make sure my shovel buddy doesn't find out that I am also sleeping with Claudette.
I hope Claudette's worth it. Wonderful. You give the man a microphone and he wants it. See, I love that. Y'all gave me one and I'm not shy about it either. So there's something else I'm supposed to tell you. Y'all look good. Thank you for showing up today, and I don't remember what the rest of it was. So. Oh, yes. Sorry. And I just looked at the note before I sat down. Sorry, I'll come to you in just a second, Terry. So we have the speakers for our Skirball event on September the 9th are Tess Gerritsen, Meg Gardner, and Jordan Harper. They're three of the best writers on the face of the planet, the place of the planet too, I guess. But anyway, boy, this is going to be a fun YouTube, I'm telling you. So anyway, tickets are on sale now. They're $35 each. Parking is free. It's a wonderful event center. If you've never been, I highly recommend it. But I will say that we need to sell 192 tickets to break even.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a little more at the Skirball this year than it was last year. But I think parking is free. And I do think that the caliber of authors is definitely worth $35. I mean, I really think a lot more than $35, but that's just me. I mean, you know, I think we pay for entertainment, and I believe they will entertain us and bring something to the table we won't have known before.
And Gary Phillips is moderating.
Oh, and Gary Phillips is moderating. Thank you. That's right. Terry?
Oh, yes. At the party last weekend, some people left a few things, like a couple of containers and some utensils. So if you left something, they're in the back.
Fantastic, fantastic. We had a wonderful party. Thank you, Terry, for hosting us. That was very kind of you. And now, Rochelle Staub is a former vice president of Sisters in Crime, or president of Sisters in Crime. I tell you, I'm discombobulated today. What can I tell you? So anyway, y'all know Rochelle, hopefully. If you don't, you'll meet Rochelle today. She's going to read from her latest novel, Breaking Bad. No, not Behaving Badly.
Speaking of which.
Right?
Now you're going to confuse me, and I probably will mumble and bumble today because it's hot. But before I read, and I can't wait to read you the first chapter, it's only 6 pages. But I have a little bit of a story to tell you that relates to today and to this book. You know, we all come to Sisters in Crime with different hopes and dreams or plans or goals or whatever. And I started writing this book in 2017. And I got 17 chapters in. I wanted to write a historical because I just didn't want her to have a phone or a computer. Literally. That's how I got into that. And of course, 1932 is a lot of fun. 17 chapters in, I'm like, I need a break. So I went to college for 7 years. And I got a degree in history, which was more fun than I can ever tell you. Got out of college, got my degree, and then I finished writing this book. I finished writing 45 chapters in this book. But now I know a lot about history. Well, anyway, this morning, I got an email from and I submitted for this, so, and you know, I should put my glasses on. It would really help a lot. In November 1st, your review will be published in the book review section of the Historical Novel Society. Wow. Right? Isn't that just like really freaking cool? And it's going to be in the upcoming fall issue of the Historical Novel Reviews. And, you know, it's not a big deal. It's not a big magazine, but it just was so full circle for me.
So great.
So, yeah, I love it. And I love that I can share that with you. So this is chapter 1 of Behaving Badly. It takes place in 1932 Los Angeles when anybody could get away with anything. I crushed my cigarette in the ashtray on my desk, rolled the last page of the sentencing story out of my Olivetti, and pulled my red cloche over my bob. As I walked through the dim, near-empty Examiner newsroom to drop the story in the editor's inbox for the morning edition, the jangle of the city desk telephone broke the silence. I should have let the overnight reporter take the call, but my husband was working late and I felt no rush to go home to an empty flat. Examiner desk, Tess Hammond, I said into the receiver. Shootout in the tunnels under the King Edward Hotel, the field reporter said over the line. 2 dead, looks bad. On my way. I hung up and called across the newsroom for a dapper young photographer, Max Grady, doing his version of working late, that is, putting the move on the new overnight switchboard operator. Max grabbed his camera gear and followed me down the 2 flights of stairs from the 3rd floor newsroom to the lobby and out to my Model A Roadster parked at the curb on Broadway and 11th Street. With Max in the passenger seat, I sped up Broadway, turned right on 5th Street and parked. Hustling through the crowd on the sidewalk, Max and I reached the entrance to the King Edward Hotel as an ambulance staff wheeled out a victim, apparently alive based on the number of attendants surrounding him. Max photographed the gurney disappearing into the ambulance before we elbowed our way into and across the crowded lobby to the hotel kitchen in the back. We headed down the kitchen stairs to the network of tunnels under downtown LA, a bootlegger's booze highway now jammed with LAPD uniforms and detectives. I scanned the scene for my detective husband, Johnny, hard to miss at 6'2", and his ginger-haired partner, Clay Riley. No luck, but being married to an LAPD detective had its advantages, and I wasn't shy about using them. I pulled aside Ernie Chenard, a patrol cop and a friend. Ernie, what happened here? I got a call that 2 victims are down in a shootout. Was it a raid? Any arrests? Veteran Chenard's surprise and discomfort threw me. He put an arm around my shoulder as if I were about to break and said, you better talk to Captain McGarry, Mrs. Hammond. Come with me. Mrs. Hammond? What's with the formality? What happened to calling me Tess? Ernie wouldn't look at me as I continued. You've been to our flat, Ernie. My stomach churned. I scanned the tunnel for a glimpse of Johnny or Clay. What the hell? What's going on? Ernie, who could lift a drunk out of the gutter with one hand, swallowed hard and swiped a hand the size of a salad plate down his cheek. Dread coiled my gut as he walked me through a crowd of cops who dropped their eyes and stepped aside to let us pass. When Central Division Precinct Captain Ronan McGarry came toward me, his face creased in pain, I knew. His "I'm sorry" clashed through my head like a cymbal. Certain I had misunderstood. I pushed my fear aside and focused on finding Johnny. I started to turn away. McGarry stopped me. It's okay, Captain, I said. I won't disturb anything. I just need to find Johnny. Where is he? McGarry took me by the shoulders, locking his eyes with mine. Johnny and Detective Bailey were ambush tests. Riley's on his way to the hospital. The man on the gurney. 1 gurney, not 2. And Johnny? I'm sorry. You're wrong. Knowing Johnny, he'd be in the thick of the investigation. I shook off the captain, my heart thudding and my mind swimming. I bumped my way through the cluster of cops deeper into the tunnel, stopping every few steps to lift to my toes and search above the crowd for Johnny's gray fedora and curly dark brown hair. Horror grasped my heart when I saw Max framing a camera shot over someone on the ground. The shutter clicked at the same time I fell to my knees next to my husband's body. He died a hero, an officer said from behind me. Saved his partner's life. A day passed before the veil of anguish parted enough for me to read the headlines from that night. My stomach wrenched. I couldn't eat, sleep, or focus. I made Johnny's funeral arrangements in a day. I couldn't breathe enough to talk to friends or co-workers who came to comfort me. Tears blurred the news stories about LAPD Detective John Hammond and his partner, Detective Clay Riley, gunned down by an unidentified informant in the tunnels. Detective Hammond, 37, died in the act of saving the life of his partner, Clay Riley, 44. I read the last sentence over and over again, hating Johnny for having to be the hero. Then I hated myself for loving him so. 3 days after Captain McGarry eulogized Johnny in an LAPD hero's funeral, I went back to work in a daze. The funeral ate up the little money Johnny and I had in savings. Without his salary, I couldn't afford not to work, and I needed an escape from the paralyzing grief. Joe Berger, my mentor and the best damn city editor in LA, pulled me off the crime beat and reassigned me to Metro to give me time to recover. I ached to return to the familiar, to escape the fog I lived in. I wanted life to be normal again. Instead, Joe took away the one thing left that anchored me, the crime beat. A few of the Examiner reporters in the press room avoided me, no doubt worried that I would break down in front of them. The rest of the staff treated me like some kind of fragile object on the edge of shattering. I suspected their pity would eventually sour into resentment. Reporting staff wages had already been cut 10% because the Depression had slowed advertising revenue. I wonder what would come next, and worried how long Joe could justify paying me a front-page reporter's salary while working Metro. I begged him to send me out into the field. When he assigned me to cover preparations for the 1932 Summer Olympics coming in August, I accepted gratefully. Johnny loves sports, but each story became a reminder that we would never attend an event together. He'd never get to meet his Olympian athletic heroes or view the opening and closing ceremonies with my press pass. A sportsman at heart, Johnny would have loved every moment. 3 weeks later, I sat at my desk waiting for Joe to return from a meeting with the muckety-mucks upstairs. This was going to be it. My patience for boasting bureaucrats and self-important celebrities had worn thin. I was determined to rescue my sanity and fight for my old job. When I saw Joe shamble off the elevator from Mr. Hurst's fifth-floor executive conference room, I hurried through the newsroom's haze of cigarette smoke, shouting reporters, ringing phones, and clattering typewriters to the city desk. I arrived just as Joe stepped up on the wooden box to his stool and settled behind the counter. I put my copy for the Olympic Village groundbreaking ceremony down in front of him. Here you go, boss, a riveting dirt shoveling story for the afternoon edition. Joe hooked his wired specs behind his ears, skimmed my story, grunted approval, and called for a copy boy. I have a new assignment for you, Tess. I ignored the folded yellow note he slid toward me across the counter. Listen, Joe, we have to talk. If I have to write one more damned Olympic story, I'm going to scream. The Summer Games don't begin for another 3 months, and I am down to pipes and toilets. Try to write excitement into the decision to use chemical dry toilets in the community latrines at the Olympic Village. I mean it. Try it. Keep up the good work, Tess. Hell, Joe, a cub reporter could cover these events. The stories write themselves. Politicians pontificate, Olympic officials pose, and Douglas Fairbanks bloviates about his love of sports. I want back on the crime beat. Give me a dirty scandal, a murderous housewife, a corrupt council member caught in bed with a prostitute, a Dragnet crime wave, a brothel wave, anything. I'm going, are you done? No. I flushed. It felt good to feel something other than heartache. I'll prove I'm still the best crime reporter on the staff. Use me. I'm tired of the stares of people treating me like a freak. I'm supposed to pity you because people stare? I winced. Joe's wisdom, experience, and the respect he commanded from his staff blinded everyone who knew him to his disability. Anyone rude enough to stare at or joke about Joe's dwarfism caught an earful from his loyalists. Joe was my mentor, champion, friend, and for the past 2 decades, the most respected editor in Los Angeles. How could I be so thoughtless? I'm sorry, Joe. I'm frustrated. I shouldn't have. Sorry for what? Feeling lost? Stop giving a damn about what other people think about you. Clam up and listen to me. The managing editor received a telegram from Hearst in Europe this morning. The chief wants the Examiner to investigate a possible kidnapping. The kid's father, Hamilton Lockwood, president of Citizens National Bank on Spring Street, is a close friend of Hearst, and the missing kid is Hearst's goddaughter. Joe pushed the folded paper at me again. Read the damn telegram. My neck tingled. A real story, maybe a front page potential. The Lindbergh kidnapping had been dominating national headlines for over a month. When I covered the 1927 kidnapped murder of 12-year-old Marion Parker, the daughter of another local banker, the tragic outcome was excruciating to write. The kidnapper's execution was hard to witness, but the agonizing details fed the Examiner's front page for weeks. A baby snatch investigation at the request of William Randolph Hearst could be my ticket back to the front page, proving I hadn't lost my step. I scanned the telegram, learned little except Lockwood's name and the fact that his daughter Mary Lee had been missing for 2 days. How old is the child? Is there a ransom note? If I knew, I'd write the damn story myself, Joe said. Get me something to telegraph back to Hearst tonight. He wants daily reports until the girl is found. I'm on it. I'll talk to the Lockwoods today. Thanks, Joe. I won't let you down. Yeah. Take Max with you. Readers like pictures of rich people with problems. Thank you.
So after the meeting, Rochelle will be signing her books in the back of the room. If you haven't gotten one, please buy one. So our Guest of honor today is Victor Wong. Victor studied psychology with an emphasis in interpersonal and intergroup relations at the University of Southern California. He pursued a master's degree in criminal justice at Virginia Commonwealth University, where he produced the correct profile of the Virginia sniper. Victor spent several years analyzing crime rates in low-income areas before starting his career with the LAPD. He became the first crime and intelligence analyst in Southern California to identify the Kia Hyundai grand theft auto trend with USB chargers. I'm curious about that. I don't know about this. He became a threat liaison officer in association with the Joint Regional Intelligence Center to help facilitate the movement of theft-related information and suspicious activity to fight against terrorism and major threats to our nation. Victor is currently working with the Robbery Homicide Division, working on high-profile cases, as well as identifying crime trends and patterns. Welcome, Victor. You may choose either side.
Is he LA County? Is it?
Are you with the LAPD or the
LAPD.
sheriff?
LAPD,
Okay.
thank you.
So I wasn't sure if you guys had a projector or if I had to do a PowerPoint presentation, so I actually created one. Since there's no projector, it's going to be on this laptop right here, and not everybody can see. I'm not sure how good your vision are in the back, but you can always come up and take a look at my slides later on. Let's see. So, well, I'll start off with my background, just one moment. So my grandfather, he was actually the first Asian deputy sheriff in California, maybe in the entire US. I wasn't sure when he worked for law enforcement. I always thought it was in the 50s or 60s. When I finally took a look at this photo, it said he was hired in 1936.
Wow.
And just one moment. And when you take a closer look, it says duly appointed deputy sheriff of LA County without compensation, because that was in the 1930s. They had racism back then, and they didn't want outsiders patrolling them, and outsiders didn't want to patrol them. And since he was a business person, he stepped up and he became the deputy sheriff patrolling Chinatown. So back when I was in high school, well, you know, as a kid, as most kids growing up, you're always watching these cop and robbers, you know, shows. You know, you want to be a hero. That's how you kind of start going on that path of, you know, law enforcement. Then sometimes you get some sense hit into you that it's a dangerous job, and you kind of step away from that and pursue other things. I started thinking about going into law when I was in high school. I was on the mock trial team, where I was mentored by an undefeated U.S. attorney for like 8 years, Tom Warren. He now owns his private practice. He actually presented President Obama back, you know, when he was in Ohio. So, you know, you have this type of passion. You have, you know, good influences, you know, trying to lead you that way, and you don't really go that way. I started to major in business, then engineering, then biomedical engineering. Think, oh wow, engineering, and you could be a doctor too. It's like, that's awesome. And then afterwards, it's like, I was also a comic book collector, and I was like, I want to build Iron Man's armor. Because, you know, like, then you realize that's not really possible yet. And when I went into, you know, trying to learn, you know, computer science and programming, I found out I can't program. And, you know, it wasn't that I can't, it's just, you know, USC started me at an intermediate programming course, so I never got the beginner's course to like actually learn. And my college counselor, she was so great. She told me, maybe this isn't the right thing for you. And I've never quit in my life. And I was insulted, and I'm thinking, maybe she's right. I got a 13, the first time I tried this class. I got a 26, 2 times better, but it's still bad. Maybe I should, go look into something else. I still want to graduate. So I switched majors to psychology, and with an emphasis in interpersonal and intergroup relations, which is, how people work within a group or how other people influence you on on what you do. So after doing that, I just looked at my life and it's like, what can I do with a psychology degree? It's the second most popular major, but when you look in a psychology book, it tells you it's the second most popular major after business, but most people with a psychology degree don't get a job in psychology. But the good news is people are hiring if you have a college degree. So it's like, oh, great, I don't know what I'm going to do with my career. And I look back into my mock trial when I was in high school, and it's like, I was really good at this. My grades aren't good enough to go to law school. I'm going to go for my master's in criminal justice. So, so that's how I ended up pursuing criminal justice. And like I said, my grades weren't good enough for law school, which meant that I got rejected by 9 grad schools, Virginia Commonwealth, and Colorado, and University of Denver, Colorado was the only 2 schools that accepted me. And University of Denver, they didn't send me my acceptance letter. They never sent me my acceptance letter. They called me up and said, hey, school's about to start in a week. Are you coming? And I'm like, well, it's kind of late, and I already bought my plane ticket and made plans to go to Virginia. So that's how I ended up in Virginia Commonwealth.
Is that the one in Charlottesville?
It's in Richmond.
Richmond,
Yes.
okay.
So let's see. Oh, it turned off. So let's see. Where's my PowerPoint? So one of the things that living in Los Angeles, you meet a lot of people. You meet a lot of different people. Sometimes you meet celebrities. Sometimes you meet magicians. One of my friends, Gabriella Lester, she's performing in London. She'll be performing in Vegas for the Now You See Me tour. She did a TED Talk, and if you ever have a chance to take a look at that TED Talk, very inspirational. Her name's Gabriella Lester. And one of the things she said is, if you're not doing what you love, you're wasting your time. And, working for law enforcement, I have a lot of respect for people working law enforcement. I'm a civilian, so I'm not sworn. I'm not a detective. I don't do patrol. They put their lives out in danger. Same thing with soldiers, military. They chose this job, and they knew the risks. So that's why I have a lot of respect for them and what they do. And the way I take a look at what we do is, I'll just get into this. I didn't really want to read. I was really hoping that we had a projector. So what is crime and intelligence analyst? I'm not going to read this definition. You guys can look it up. Crime analysis is pretty much being detectives without the danger or with less danger. So that's how you would want to look at, what we do. I'm going to talk about, a lot of what we can do. Some things, we're not always allowed to do, or we don't get the opportunity to do these things. But crime analysis is pretty much finding the who, what, when, where, and how, and why a crime is committed, and connecting the dots. I was talking to Jay Lee earlier about you guys as writers. you guys pretty much do the same thing because you're analyzing and connecting the dots for everything. Like I mentioned, I was watching the movie The Langolier. It's a Stephen King novel. I'm not sure if you've read the book or seen the TV series. It's pretty much a lot of characters are there, and the person who solved it was a writer because you guys can think and you guys are creative. You guys can, reach a little without, within the boundaries and connect the dots. So, being a crime analyst, being an intelligence analyst, and being a writer, it's pretty similar. You have to know how things relate to each other, how they're connected, and when you find those connections, you're able to solve crime or identify, patterns and series, which helps solve crime.